Hello heathens and welcome to my channel. I am Beauty Heathen and my channel is dedicated to the exploration of paganism. Sometimes I do readings, sometimes I do demonstrations for ritual work, and sometimes, like today, I delve into the education aspect through the medium of cosmetics. If you are new to my channel, I welcome you and thank you for joining us. If you are returning, I thank you so much for your continued support. It truly means the world to me. If you feel you would enjoy the subject matter or find my content of interest, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and set the bell to all to be notified of when I release new videos. Remember, it is free to subscribe and your support does help me grow my platform. In today's episode, I will be discussing the subject of the Celtic Festival of Beltane. In all brutal honesty, I had already started this once, and things happened. So you will see that there is blush already on the head somewhat. I used a Lorac 3-in-1 primer. Let's see. I didn't use this color, I used the color Dawn. But this is the one that I used on the deep head earlier this week. And I'm going to be honest. Dawn, I'm not impressed. This primer for deeper skin tones and dusk is gorgeous on the skin and as a primer. Dawn, I don't see a single illuminating quality about it. I was rather disappointed in it, and I'll likely return to the Wander Beauty primer oil product that I've been using for the next time I do one of these. So I just wanted to be fully transparent and honest with that. So if you are watching this and you have deeper skin tones, this primer was actually really nice. So, of course, that's on a cosmetic practice head, not on human skin, but I would hope that they would perform similarly regardless. So, as always, I sprayed the head with hairspray to protect it from getting stained. I put on a layer of LA Girl Pro HD Coverage Foundation in the color Porcelain, of course, after I put on the primer all over the head. I did a quick dusting of Ciate London's setting powder, and then I did the NYX eyeshadow base in the color White. And where I'd already started this once before, in the Ulta box blushes and highlighters, I used this matte rose blush, which is not performing very well for me today, and I'm about to choose the pink highlighter. I'm going to try something different today. I don't know how it's going to work out. We will see. The beauty of cosmetics is nothing is ever permanent, and you can have fun. We will see if this turns out to be a hit or miss type of video. You can even see where, I don't know if it's oxidation from the foundation and the Ciate powder. I don't know if that's because of the primer or not. I can tell you that I have not experienced that before. So, just putting that out there, that might be an issue. But again, it may not be the same on human skin. These heads don't have pores, they don't have texture, and how cosmetics perform on these heads is not how they will necessarily perform on human skin. So yeah, went through, did all my disclaimers, applied the highlighter. I'm going to attempt something on the eyes now while I revert back to my script. It has been quite the past hour, so that's okay. Got the blush and highlighter out of the way, and that gives me the entirety of this time to potentially do something with the eyes. Now I have the Conte palette from BoxyCharm that I used to subscribe to. I have my So Jaded palette in case I need it, and the Emily Edit palette from Makeup Revolution just in case as backup as well. Because you never know if it's going to be nice or naughty. So, with that said, as I just stated, we are talking about the Celtic festival of Beltane. Beltane kicks off the merry month of May. Technically, I'm late coming out with this as it was on May 1st, but, you know, oh well. But this holiday has a long history. This fire festival is celebrated, like I said, on May 1st in the Northern Hemisphere and at the end of October in the Southern Hemisphere, with bonfires, maypoles, dancing, and lots of good old-fashioned sexual energy. To the pastoral Celtic peoples of Europe, the changing pattern of the seasons was a matter of life and death, and marking these changes were key moments in the life of the community. Beltane means bright fire, and it was one such marker celebrated in various forms across Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man as a starting point of summer. And I think for a base color, I'm going to put down Delia. I think I've used this palette once before and it performed rather well. Since I'm talking about a fire festival, I figured I'd do a fiery inspired look. We shall see. I make no promises. Beltane is a celebration of the time of light and growth to come, and was associated with a variety of practices, from the display of fresh greenery to the baking of Beltane bannocks, also known as Scottish oatbreads. Perhaps the most important element, however, was the lighting of Beltane fires on the 1st of May, which would recall the growing power of the sun and provide an opportunity to cleanse and renew the conditions of a community for both humans and their animals. Mainly because they had spent the many dark months indoors. In Scotland, the lighting of Beltane fires, round which cattle were driven, over which brave souls danced and leapt, would survive into modern times, although the process of slow decline saw towns and villages slowly abandon the practice in the 19th century. But the holiday has seen a great resurgence with the reawakening of paganism in modern times. As I'm sure you can imagine, those areas, especially with their deep religious connections, would have seen such festivals deemed as heathen or unwelcomed, I would presume, which would likely tie as to why it would have died down. Okay. Just trying to get a even base of sorts. I don't know if it's the Lorac primer or what, but this marking right here, I don't know if it's the result of oxidation from the foundation in the Ciate London powder, but that has not happened before, and that was not something I did. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's on like both sides of the nose. The other one didn't act that way to my recollection. So it may just be this one, or it may just be having an off makeup day. That happens too. So, oops, a little too far. The Celts honored the fertility of the gods with gifts and offerings, sometimes including animal or human sacrifice. From the research that I've done, it looks like the Celts mainly would sacrifice kings if they weren't doing what they were supposed to do, or in years when things were particularly bad, I guess. This is just a supposition. I didn't look that far into it yet, but my guess is frequently kings were often thought of being appointed by deities, and I'm gonna guess that they figured their time had come. But again, I don't know this for sure, and I'm not even sure I'll be able to find that information. Again, it's just an educated guess. And yeah, even this is not working well. Ha ha ha. Seems we're having another off makeup day. But cattle were driven through the smoke of the Baal fires and blessed with health and fertility for the coming year. In Ireland, the fires of Tara were the first ones lit every year, and I've been to the hills of Tara and they're gorgeous. And they were the first ones lit every year at Beltane, and all other fires were lit with a flame from that fire. Just the thought of it is making me miss being in Ireland, not gonna lie. The Romans, always known for celebrating holidays in a big way, spent the first day of May paying tribute to their lares, the gods of their household. They also celebrated the Floralia, or Festival of Flowers, which consisted of 3 days of unbridled sexual activity. Now, in times when paganism ruled the land, I guess you could say, this basically meant that, well, sexuality was viewed very differently by pagan communities than the mentality when the church came in to play. For pagans, sexuality is part of nature, it's part of humanity and who we are in the world. And it was not necessarily regulated to men and women coupling. Many pagan communities throughout the world were very welcoming of LGBT people, and having more open mentality of sexuality. The best way I can kind of equate it, I look at it when I went to Europe, when I went to Ireland, and versus when I came here. The content that you will see on the television in Ireland would never be allowed here in the United States. I mean, you can see genitalia after a certain time on regular television stations. They tend to be more open about sexuality. And our pagan ancestors had that same mentality. It was largely when the Christian church swept the land that a lot of the things that were widely accepted, from homosexuality to being free and loving with one another, and that sexual expression was forced undercover, I guess you could say. So, yeah. Again, that's not me demonizing Christianity, it's just explaining how we went from a very free and sexually driven society to one that was more puritanical. And actually, if you have not done so already, I highly, highly recommend you go watch the History of Content video that Petty Page put out on her channel. She goes into quite a bit of the historical aspects of adult content and things of that nature, and she started to delve into this as well. When I watched it, I was very excited, and I shared the link to her video on Twitter because it had a lot of pagan aspects to it, and delved both into the more modern aspects as well as how human sexuality evolved from our earliest ancestors, and how you could find figures and statues that were many times of nude female figures. But yeah, she goes into a lot of it, and she did an awesome job researching everything. Yeah, it was just incredible. Anyway, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent, but I wanted to kind of explain that historical aspect of this because festivals, especially ones that were of pagan holidays, tended to have a lot of that celebratory sexuality to them. During the Roman festivals, participants wore flowers in their hair, much like May Day celebrants later on, and there were plays and songs and dances, and at the end of the festivities, animals were set loose inside the Circus Maximus, and beans were scattered around to ensure fertility. I'm going to try this fluffier brush. I'm having difficulty with these. I don't think they're fluffy enough to accomplish what I'm trying to do. We'll see. Pimento. The Fire Festival of Bonadea was also celebrated on May 2nd. This celebration, held at Bonadea's temple in the Aventine Hill, was a festival of women, mostly plebeians or commoners, who served as priestesses and sacrificed a sow in the fertility goddess's honor. Also in May, the Greeks celebrated the Plenteria in honor of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and battle, and the patroness of the city of Athens, which was named after her. The Plenteria includes the ritual cleansing of Athena's statue, along with feasting and prayers in the Pantheon. Although this was fairly minor festival, it was significant to the people of Athens. Sorry, getting tongue twisted. Wow. The Plenteria, like many other Greek festivals, lasted 2 to 3 days, beginning around May 25, and the temples were closed to the general public. In the Temple of Athena, only women performed the task of cleansing the statue, which was hidden behind a large cloth so that no one could see it during this sacred time. On the 24th, homage is paid to the Greek moon goddess Artemis, which I've done a video on and I'll link somewhere up here. She is the goddess of the hunt and of wild animals. And Artemis is a lunar goddess equivalent to the Roman moon goddess Diana. She is also identified with Luna and Hecate, who is a goddess of the crossroads and often more vilified than she should be. Let's see. Let me just take a look here. I don't think this is the eyeshadows. I think it's just the primer is being difficult. Yeah, there's nothing really I want to... maybe that one. Maybe I'll do a combination of two. May 6th is the day of the Eyvind Kelda, or Eyvind Kelve, in Norse celebrations. Eyvind Kelda was a Norwegian martyr who was tortured and drowned on the orders of King Olaf. I'm going to try to pronounce this without butchering it. Tryggvason, for refusing to give up his pagan beliefs. According to the tales of Heimskringla, the Chronicle of the Kings of Norway, one of the best Norse sagas compiled by Snorri Sturluson around 1230 CE, Olaf announced that once he had converted to Christianity, everyone else in his country needed to be baptized as well. Eyvind, who was believed to be a powerful sorcerer, managed to escape Olaf's troops and made his way to an island along with other men who continued to believe in the old gods. Unfortunately, Olaf and his army happened to arrive there at the same time. Although Eyvind tried to protect his men with magic, once the mists and fog cleared, they were exposed and captured by Olaf's soldiers. A week later, Norwegians celebrate the festival of the Midnight Sun, which pays tribute to the Norse sun goddess. This festival marks the beginning of 10 straight weeks without darkness. Today, this celebration of music and art and nature is a popular spring celebration in Norway. Not the one I wanted to use. Let's try this one. A number of pre-Christian figures are associated with the month of May, and subsequently Beltane. Oh no, you went too far. Sorry. The entity known as the Green Man, strongly related to, I don't know if it's Cernunnos or Cernunnos, I've heard it pronounced both ways, is often found in the legends and lore of the British Isles and is a masculine face covered in leaves and shrubbery. In a future video I will cover Cernunnos or Cernunnos. By then I will figure out exactly how his name is actually pronounced, but he is pictured as a large stag. Getting a little chunky. In some parts of England, a green man is carried through town in a wicker cage as the townsfolk welcome the beginning of summer. Impressions of the green man's face can be found in the ornamentation of many of Europe's older cathedrals, despite edicts from local bishops forbidding stonemasons from including such pagan imagery. There's so many aspects of paganism in flowing through Europe that the traditions of this imagery held, even though it may have gone against the Christian church. So, a related character is Jack in the Green, a spirit of the greenwood. References to Jack appeared in British literature back as far as the late 16th century. Sir James Frazer associates the figure with mummers and the celebration of life force of trees. Jack in the Green was seen even in the Victorian era, when he was associated with soot-faced chimney sweeps. At this time, Jack was framed in a structure of wicker and covered with leaves, and surrounded by Morris dancers. Some scholars suggest that Jack may have been an ancestor to the legend of Robin Hood. I found that particularly fascinating, how a figure of Beltane would relate to such an infamous character existing in the world today. I just was blown away by that part. Today's pagans celebrate Beltane much like their ancestors did. A Beltane ritual usually involves lots of fertility symbols, including the obviously phallic maypole dance. You know, it's one of those things that when I was a kid, my elementary school had May Day, and we had festivals surrounding May Day. And we had things like a maypole and all that kind of thing. And it just makes me internally chuckle now, looking back at it going, well, damn. Things I didn't know as a kid that, you know, I now know, and it's like, wow. I'm trying to lightly apply some of the moonstone color to the upper part of the eye, but some of the primer is lifting away and it's making it very patchy. One day yet I may end up doing this on my own face just so that I have less issues. I make no promises as to when though. The maypole is a tall pole decorated with flowers and hanging ribbons, which are woven into intricate pattern by a group of dancers weaving in and out. The ribbons are eventually knotted together by the time the dancers reach the end. In some Wiccan traditions, Beltane is a day in which the May Queen and the Queen of Winter battle one another for supremacy. In this rite, borrowed from practices on the Isle of Man, each queen has a band of supporters. On the morning of May 1st, the two companies battle it out, ultimately trying to win victory for their queen. If the May Queen is captured by her enemies, she must be ransomed before her followers can get her back. There are some who believe Beltane is a time of the fairies, the appearance of flowers around this time of year heralds the beginning of summer and shows us that the Fae are hard at work. In early folklore, to enter the realm of the fairies is a dangerous step, and yet the more helpful deeds of the Fae should always be acknowledged and appreciated. If you believe in fairies, Beltane is a good time to leave out food and other treats for them in your garden or yard as an offering. It also sometimes helps keep them from wreaking havoc and causing mischief for you. I'm using the Gerard Cosmetics lipstick in the color Mai Tai for the lips. Is this on something? Sort of. For many contemporary pagans, Beltane is a time for planting and sowing of seeds. Again, the fertility theme appears. The buds and flowers of early May bring to mind the endless cycle of birth, growth, death, and rebirth that we see in the earth. Certain trees are associated with May Day, such as the ash, oak, and hawthorn. In Norse legend, the god Odin hung from an ash tree for 9 days, and it later became known as the world tree, Yggdrasil. If you've been wanting to bring abundance and fertility of any sort in your life, whether you're looking to conceive a child, enjoy fruitfulness in your career or creative endeavors, or just see your garden bloom, Beltane is the perfect time for magical workings related to any type of prosperity, as is the month of May in general. So yeah. Just trying to put this on real quick because I got sidetracked reading versus putting on the actual lip color, because yay, go me. It's probably not the best brush to do this. Wow. Gotta love the days when you get tongue-tied, right? So, I would say this is more of a look fail. It did not do what I wanted it to do. I will try applying the other primer next week, as that seems to work better than these Lorac primers. It was also the only 2 samples I had of them, so yeah. We'll give that a try next week, because this, I made the mistake of putting the Lorac primer all over the face before putting the NYX eyeshadow base on top of it, and as you can see, it just kind of lifted everything away as I was trying to blend things out. Again, I don't know that will react that way on human skin, but this is how it's acting on the head. So I hope this video has imparted some knowledge on the Pagan Holiday of Beltane, as well as other festivals that happen in May around this time of year to some degree, and perhaps given better insight as to what this holiday means and the roots of it, dating back to the ancient Celtic communities. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and wish to have more like it, please be sure to let me know in the comments below. Don't be shy. I promise I will not bite. Before you go, I would be so grateful if you would please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can stay tuned for new videos. And with all of that said, until next time, I wish you the brightest of blessings, and blessed be.